Hey, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nikhil. Namaskaram. I welcome you all to my first episode of Candid Conversations. It is actually a podcast. So I'm going to find people where they're going to share their real life stories and talk about how did they overcome these challenges or the bumps they have faced in life and what made them turn to a better person they are right now as compared to the last days. So for this first episode is sponsored by www.gallery99.in. It's a one-stop solution for your all home decor. So go check it out. If you have not subscribed us, please do subscribe us and hit the bell icon so that you do not miss a video of us. Here we go.
My name is Rachel Streater, and I was born in Houston, Texas, raised in small town East Texas. I lived a pretty simple life, happy childhood, and ended up going to college not too far away from where I grew up. And I had a chance to travel a little bit. After college, I lived in Austin and then I moved to DC. I had a chance to experience Hawaii, which was beautiful. And along the way, I did some really fun jobs. So I had a chance to work as an event planner for a while in Austin. I worked for Dell corporate accounts for a while. Not my favorite job, but they were good to me, and it taught me a lot about business and uh, being able to really focus and multitask, I guess. But really, I when I fell into uh, film, that was probably my favorite. I had a chance to do a little bit of acting and modeling when I was in DC, and I did the same when I moved to Hawaii. I got involved with a feature film called The Descendants, and absolutely loved it. I worked as a production assistant or the line producer's assistant on that film. And I found out if I could work amongst some of the best in the industry in this context, then why not try to do it for myself? So it gave me a lot of confidence. And when I moved back to Texas from Hawaii, I decided to help a friend write her own story. So I wrote my first screenplay. A couple of other writers were involved, and as we co-wrote, we ended up actually selling the screenplay, and it's currently in pre-production right now in Fort Worth. And so it's been really exciting. There's been a lot of ups and downs along the way, but
Mhm.
that is kind of my career, my life.
I'll not divide your career or your life as a separate part of it. So I think just it's just a continuous flow. So if I ask you like what has been the major up point where you enjoyed yourself, like you say, okay, this is the highest point I touched in my life. Maybe it could be any small thing, but it might be bigger in your experience. So what was it?
There were two actually. I'm good at taking those leaps of faith. If I get that intuition, that little voice that says just do it, and it won't stop, it keeps telling me that, then I listen. And usually it's something scary. I don't quite know what the outcome is going to be, but almost always I've been supported. So the first one was with Dell. I decided, it wasn't really speaking to me. That wasn't my personality, and so I took a huge pay cut, huge, and
Uh-huh.
decided to just do event planning. And I loved it, and it brought me joy every single day. That was the first one. The second one was I was living in paradise, loved Hawaii. I was really enjoying my life there, but there was something missing. I felt disconnected, that I had more work to do, but I couldn't put my finger on. And that voice again was saying, move back, move back. And so I did. Leap of faith, no job at the time. I just did it. And that's when I started writing the screenplay and got the screenplay out there. The last one has happened just here recently, and I don't know how much I can really verbalize what's been happening because I'm still absorbing it myself. But it's been a huge leap of faith on a spiritual level, and it has
When you
changed
say
my life.
leap of faith, what exactly do you mean? Can you decipher it in just a very layman language? If someone wants to maybe watching us, they want to understand what is leap of faith.
It's for me, it's sometimes putting myself into an uncomfortable situation or an awkward situation where I'm unsure of the outcome, but I'm given some sort of support on a on an unspoken level. It's an energetic support that I know
Mm-hmm.
that if I follow my life's path, I will be supported, and I'm not going to die, right?
Okay.
Everything will eventually, it might be a little uncomfortable for a while, but everything will fall into place. And ultimately, I'm happier for making that choice. That's what I mean by that leap of faith.
So
Like not always knowing about if money's going to be there financially.
mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's a scary step to take. There was something that I did recently where it required more money than what I really had access to in the beginning to attend this event and to do the traveling and all of that. And I just believed, I felt so strongly about it. And I just believed, natural law, the universe, the angels, God, whoever will support me in this because this is my true life path. And it happened. I was supported in ways that I had no idea could have been physically possible. So that keeps happening over and over in my life.
So has this leap of faith has ever hit a rock bottom?
Has it ever what?
Has it ever hit a rock bottom? Like, has it like didn't
Okay, so
you got my point,
yeah,
right? So
right,
it
right,
didn't
right,
turn out to be the way you thought, right?
right. So I there's been two really big bumps in my life, and those have been the most transformational. The first was I got very, very sick and didn't know why, and found out I was a type 1 diabetic.
Mm-hmm.
And it upset me because I all of a sudden started thinking, oh, I'm going to lose 10 years of my life, 15 years of my life. It's going to be a long, slow, painful death. I'm reading books this thick overnight, trying to sort it all out. And I was angry. I was angry at God. I was angry at the world. I, pointed fingers everywhere else except but at myself for this
Right.
particular reason. And through that, I started opening my mind to not just one way to approach life, but I started looking at all religions, all ways of living life. And I think I opened my mind to more of a spiritual perspective. And I found this new intense love of God that I'd never had before, a new intense love of life. It was even more precious to me. And so that kind of started my spiritual journey, that fear of needles. I'm super needle phobic, and it was horrible. It was horrible. I had to get over that. I finally did. I'm 14 years now with a diabetic diagnosis. And I'm still
Mm-hmm.
not giving up. I tried quite a few things along the way, and I pray every day that one day it's going to be all right. I'm not going to need that insulin anymore. So, but I would have it no other way because it did open my mind and my eyes to the magic that's around us. Is for a better lack of words or whatever. Life is really beautiful and has been for me ever since. The next really big bump in the road for me, I had been exposed to some chemicals on a military base,
Mm-hmm.
and that caused a lot of problems with my immune system,
Okay.
and it caused some problems, controlling blood sugars and things like that. And I found myself in the hospital with a rare nerve condition. Overnight, really scary. Within like a week of my fingertips being numb, all of a sudden I couldn't feel my hands, my toes, my feet, my legs started going numb slowly all the way up to here. I had severe nerve damage. I had both autonomic and peripheral nerve damage. I was in the ICUs for about 10 months off and on, and I couldn't walk. I was in a wheelchair. I couldn't eat food for about 4 months. Couldn't keep water down. I was severely malnourished. They were about to put me on a feeding tube. And the pain that I felt from that peripheral nerve damage is something that's really hard to describe. But it is such an intense pain, and it wouldn't let up. And the nausea was there, and it would not let up. There was no relief. And it taught me something so beautiful was that I didn't have the energy to worry about what was. I didn't have the energy to think about the past and be sad or miss something. I didn't have the energy for anxiety, none of that. All I had the energy to do, couldn't even watch TV. Too painful.
Mm-hmm.
All I did was I just laid there and looked out the window, and I could hear the birds, and how sweet their songs were. Or I watched the clouds as they passed by. Or maybe I saw the leaves and how the branches would rub together and the leaves would make a certain rustling sound. And that experience brought me into the moment in such a beautiful way. It taught me how to really truly live in the present moment. And it was so incredibly painful, but I would have it no other way because that was such an important lesson to learn. And I had moments where I really didn't care if I, God, take me now because this is not fun anymore. This is no good. But I didn't give up. I didn't give up completely, and I kept holding on to that idea that one day this could get better. This might be better. Maybe I'm burning off some karma for something I did, and I just need to deal with this while I'm in this moment. And so I did get better. I ended up finding an acupuncturist
Mm-hmm.
and I started healing from that perspective. I found a couple of really beautiful friends who supported me and loved me through this, and family who loved me through it. And I started gaining my strength. I was able to eat again, walk again. I still have things that I'm working on, but to heal. But I had a lady tell me one day, she's like, honey, you have tried everything. You've changed your diet. You've changed your lifestyle. You've added this, you've added that. You've done all these herbs. You've done Western medicine, Eastern medicine. You've done it all. She said, what about God? What about adding more of that into your life? Why don't you just talk to God directly? And I thought, I mean, I pray, but maybe not as intensely as I should. Maybe I need to, meditate more often. That is something I didn't mention. I was meditating, but not as often as maybe I could have, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I really started looking at this spiritual perspective. Why not talk to God directly? Why not ask God for a miracle? They've happened before, they could happen to me. Who am I to say I'm not worthy enough of a miracle one day? I should at least ask. And so that's where I'm at right now. That's where I'm
Very
at. I'm at that point where I am meditating and I'm listening and I'm trying to use that silence to connect more and more with God.
beautiful. That's a beautiful journey of life, I would say. Um, I would, I would not. I mean, if you ask me from my view, like, would you advise me if I have a power to take away some sorrow from your life? I would never do that. I mean, the person you are right now, the level of confidence, I'll not call it confidence. Confidence can be lacking and depend upon other factors. I'll call it the level of clarity you have for the life, is cause of that rock bottom at the military base. So I'll say that is something really really beautiful. And I've heard a story where there was an enlightened being. He used to sell fishes, and so another enlightened being just meets up and says, why are you sitting here? Why don't you enlighten people if you have certain powers? And then he says, when whoever comes to me, I bless them with bad health. So, and then he asked me, how did you get enlightened then? He said, I was in the hospital. I was almost on the verge of leaving my body and just passing away. So I was in hospital for like 3-4 months. And then I realized myself. I realized my true potential. And then I stepped in toward meditation and turned into a spiritual person. Then he started blessing people with bad health so that they also do the same and realize it. So it always takes a bump in your life to just.
Why not ask for an easy path and learn from other people's mistakes? Instead of having to make them again over and over, why
Right.
not pay attention to what's going on around you and try to learn from other people's mishaps? And maybe you can still get the lesson and not have to deal with so much of the pain and progress at an even more rapid pace, right?
Right.
Yeah, but I do believe that these challenges are blessings. They really have been. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't be who I am today without those. They were rough, but I'm grateful.
So one piece of advice you want to give to the to any person who is listening to this video, so they can take this up and maybe turn around the journey and look for brightness.
Well, everyone is where they're at on their own journey, right?
Hmm.
For a reason. And just give me a second on this one. It's a difficult one because, yeah, I know what I would do. I would personally pray for them and send them love and send them energy if it's in the universe or God's plan for them to have some sort of relief or healing or whatever that is. But for them directly, I think I would say, and it's easier said than done, but to love yourself completely, to not judge yourself, to not get down on yourself. Some of these things that we feel about ourselves, this internal chatter and this internal thought, can be
Hmm.
really harmful and painful. I'm sick, I'm unworthy, I'm not smart enough, I'm not capable, no one loves me, I'm just a menace to society, or I'm a weight for my family to bear. These thoughts, these things, I think sometimes aren't really who we are. We're not truly the mind. We're not truly this body. We're something much larger, much more beautiful. Um, and and it's difficult to truly grasp that, especially when you're in pain, especially when you have these heavy thoughts. And so I would do my best to explain that piece. One day you will have peace in your mind and in your body and in your thoughts. And give yourself time. Uh, hold the space for the quiet moments, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Sit in silence and try to understand, get to know who you are in the quiet moments. And I say this because if they don't believe in God and they don't believe in a higher power, sitting in those quiet moments will eventually reveal to them. And so maybe I would just say, be kind to yourself. Understand that these thoughts and this construct and this life that we live in isn't really the truth. This is the facade. This is the screenplay, so to say. This isn't real life. Real life is completely different, on a completely different level. And then just go internally and sit in those quiet moments with yourself and try to learn more about who you are, what you love, what you don't love. Be honest with yourself on all levels and embrace those parts you don't like so much. That's okay. That's part of who you are in this construct.
How about if I play a 3-word game with you, just adding a fun factor in it, and I'm gonna shoot you one word, one at a time, and whatever thought, vision, maybe some memory comes up to you, and you share it with us. All right? It's gonna get nasty, I guess. All right.
All right.
All right. So, what is the thought, memory, whatever comes to your mind when I say love?
Our creator. The expanse, our creator, perfection.
When I say sex?
I see it as a beautiful energetic union.
I love that reply. To be honest, I love that reply. Yes. When I say a newborn child,
Innocence.
just innocent, that's a new
Innocence.
life.
That's and I've never had kids, so maybe that's
Uh,
why. I don't think of the sleepless nights and the screaming that my friends talk about. No, I just think like a beautiful innocence, a very a closeness to God. You're fresh from the other side. That's
yes, yes,
beautiful, beautiful, sweet innocence.
yes. That's
A
that's
truth,
beautiful.
a truth. There's a truth about that. Yeah.